What's up, Triple Acre fam? Welcome to the episode of Farming the Land with Brand. Okay guys, so on today's episode I'm going to be talking about how to electric fence train pigs. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you guys how we do it here on the farm and here on Triple Acres, and you guys are more than welcome to use the same idea or use it in a different way for yourselves. So I know a lot of people do it differently. Their builds may be different, their structures may be different, but this is how we've structured it right here on the farm. So when we usually get pigs, and you can do this with grown pigs too, but we usually get our pigs in piglet form, piglet stage, not piglet form, piglet stage. And during piglet stage, we keep them in what we call grow out pens. These pens usually are for the first 3 months of their life. They will be in these grow up pens. They'll also be in what you could call a grow up pen / electric fence training pen. So it is wet in some of these pens today because we have been getting tons of rain, guys. So it's not usually this wet in here, but it's wet right now. So these are this is actually our first ever grow up pen that we had. It is a 25 length, guys, by 10 foot. I think it's 25 by 10. Okay, so I actually have a pig in here who's actually digging the mess right now out of the ground. I don't even know what she's doing. This is actually the only piglet left out of a couple of our big batch of our piglets that we just sold. But I'm gonna get her out of there when we get done. She's the only one in here right now. She'll be moving to pasture here soon. But anyways, let me go ahead and go over how our electrical fencing looks. Okay, how we run a 1-strand wire. So we have this little thing here, a little tiny metal roofing, and under this metal roof is a small 15-mile fence charger. Okay, it's a 0.7 output joule with a 0.9 stored joules. It's not a solar powered, as you can tell. It's just a plug-in. It's plugged in right here, and because it's outside, guys, you can simply make this thing waterproof, because they're not waterproof. But this is exactly how simple we made it waterproof. I took a tiny piece of roof that's probably 18 inches long by a foot wide. Well, I'm sorry, 18 inches wide by a foot long. And I just mounted it with some screws onto the board next to the pen. This thing has never went out, and I've had it on here for a long time. So I've ran this little piece of roof I had laying around, covering it with, from water, whatever. It's never gotten damaged. I ever had to replace it. Ran it on 1 ground rod because we don't need a huge output, because it can't, of course, go anywhere because they're covered by these boards. However, there is a 1-strand wire that just sticks off of the edge here. Let me see if I can. Just sticks off of the edge right there. Okay, it runs off a little insulator. We run that right. We run our first insulated wire right inside of here and connect it to the wire. That's just connected to one little insulator, and then we just run a strand all the way down to the end. We actually stop down there where she's digging. There's no wire, so we've never had pigs get out of this pen, by the way. But then we run across the front gate. We run a wire probably about a foot from the actual gate all the way across, and it connects down there. Then we take one more strand, of course, run it all the way down that side, and then that completes a complete box. If you do not run a complete box and you leave a side exposed, your pigs will dig underneath it. I honestly suggest, if you can, to run a complete box, but you don't have to. So our backside's never been fully ran, and we've never had any pigs dig out. But the reason why I've never dug out the back is that's where our pigs are shaded, and they will lay up against the side of the wall. So it helps them be able to actually get in the cover. So if you have an electrical wire back there, it'd be harder for them to actually get back there and lay down. So that's why we don't. But it keeps them actually from being able to get out into the main farm area. But it also trains them. So fun fact about pigs, A pig, when they get shocked, always, most of the time, run forward and never backwards. When a cow gets shocked, they 98% of the time back up. I've had it happen before where a pig has actually ran forward, so that has happened. But 99 or 98% of the time they will back up. But a pig, they most of the time run forward. First time we actually ever introduced pigs into our pasture, they'd never been electrical fence trained, and it was a disaster. I lost one pig that never seen again, and then we had probably 5 pigs that actually escaped through the wire because they ran forward as soon as they got shocked because they weren't trained to it. So we have a total of 4 pins here. Out of those 4 pins, only 3 are electrically charged. This middle pin right to my left here, if they escape, they would escape into another pin. And there's an electrical wire that runs across the front of this one, just because I didn't need this pin electrified when I first did it. So this pin is only electrified here, down the front, and down the outside, all the way down to there. And this trains them, like I said, electrical wire. You only need 1 strand, and it's not going to take a lot of wire. You can buy a used charger or a really cheap charger they can just plug in. And like I said, our pigs will stay in here for 3 months. By then, you will have 100% guarantee, and they will be trained even before 3 months. By then, you will have fully trained electrical trained fence pigs. Yeah, so it's that simple. All you have to do is have a pin that you set up either in a barn. I know some people have them in barns. We function without a barn, so that's what happens here. So all of these pins out here are where our piglets are grown out. They of course have cover for shade, from weather, you name it. But this is where they're trained for 3 months, and after 3 months they're moved to pasture. And that is exactly how we train our pigs on electrical fencing. Like I said, guys, wire, we use 14 gauge wire. It's the most accessible of the thickest wire that you can get. We use that on all of our pastures, everything. 12 gauge of course would be better, but our Tractor Supply only sells them in really small rolls, and 14 gauge is easier to come by. I've never really had many breakage issues with that, and in these pens I've never had one break. But 14 gauge wire, a couple screw-in insulators. You don't have to get fancy with it. You don't have to even run corners. You can just tie them in here. They don't have to be, your electrical wire doesn't have to be super tight. You run your insulated wire to it, connect your pins up. You can run all off one box. All of ours, all 4 pins, even the one without it still runs the length of it, all run off one box. And all we do is when we go into the next pin, we run an insulated wire connected to it, bump it over the board, connect it to that one. Now we have an ongoing electrical charge. So it's easy, guys, but figured I'd show you kind of how we electrical, fence train our pigs here on the farm. But that's pretty much it. 3 months, pigs are trained. So yeah, guys, things you need: fence charger, grow out pin, or a training pin. You can build a cattle panel, wood, barn, I mean, you name it. You can put an electrical fencing anywhere. So, and it's actually would be easier if you had a barn, because you could just plug it right up. You wouldn't have to worry about covering it. But if you don't, you can do it without a barn easily. You can do it outdoors too. So like I said, you guys, the options are endless as long as you have an actually enclosed structure that if a pig did run past that wire, he actually couldn't get out, because they will possibly run through the wire, especially in your 12 foot. And that to me is why it's so important to have one area with a big gap between the gate, because if a pig gets shocked along your walls, it won't run past that board. But when they're piglets, they can actually get shocked, run forward, and realize, okay, I don't cross this barrier, because once I get past this barrier, I'm stuck. But they'll just go back under and shock themselves, and then realize, okay, I shouldn't do that. So after a while, your pigs will never touch a wire ever again, unless they accidentally touch one eating, but they will never intentionally touch a wire. You can go into a pasture with 1 to 2 to 3 strands of electrical wire, chase your pigs around, and your pigs will not leave. So it works, guys. It's how we've been doing it for quite a while now. And yeah, try it out, guys, especially if you're having issues with your pigs escaping when you're first trying to electrical fence train them. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it was very informative, and I hope you guys use it. If you're going to use this method of training your pigs from now on, if you're already not doing so, or if you're doing so, please comment in the description below and tell me how it's worked for you, and maybe your different methods of how you do it as well. So I'll see you guys next time right here on Tribal Acres. Thanks again for farming the land with Brand.